The darkness in the imperial chamber was absolute, save for the weak, flickering glow of an oil lamp, long past its prime. It was the deepest part of the Roman night, yet Marcus stirred, not from comfort, but from the weight of the day waiting to ambush him. This was not the serene existence of a contemplative scholar. This was the year 167 AD, and the air of Rome, even within the sacred walls of the Palatine Hill, was thick with fear and the scent of ash. A relentless enemy, the Marcomanni, was hammering at the northern frontier. Worse still, a phantom enemy, the Antonine Plague, was devouring the empire from within, wiping out legions and citizens alike, an invisible scythe against which no phalanx could stand. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, lay beneath heavy blankets, his body aching from chronic illness, his mind already racing through the military dispatches and the endless casualty reports. He was a man who craved the quiet of a library, yet he was bound to the loudest, most violent stage in the world. He understood the stakes. If he failed today, the Pax Romana, 2 centuries of peace, might end, swallowed by chaos. But his greatest battle was not against the barbarians or the plague. It was against the persistent, warm lethargy of the bed itself. It was the first act of Stoicism required of him, to choose purpose over comfort. If you, the viewer, are fighting your own inner battle this morning, stay with us. By the end of this video, I will reveal the simple switch he used to win this war every single day. Before the city stirred, before the Senate convened, Marcus began his sacred work. He dressed in plain, unadorned robes. The purple border was the only concession to his office. He poured a small basin of icy water over his face and hands. The physical shock, a reminder that the world demands pain and endurance. He did not seek inspiration from others. He sought the truth from himself. He sat by the lamp and unrolled a wax tablet. These were his meditations, not a polished work for public eyes, but a brutal dialogue with his own conscience. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work, as a human being. What do I have to complain about, if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for? To huddle under the blankets and stay warm. He wrestled with anger, with fatigue, with the sheer injustice of the universe that demanded so much from one fragile man. He reaffirmed the dichotomy of control. That which is external, the war, the plague, public opinion, is irrelevant. That which is internal, his judgment, his intent, his virtue, is everything. He reminded himself, memento mori, remember, you will die. This grim truth was his fuel, stripping away triviality and leaving only the stark necessity of duty. This is the point where the emperor stopped being a man and started being a principle. And if you find value in understanding this kind of profound mental preparation, take a moment to like this video and leave a comment telling us what one principle keeps you motivated each morning. It helps this message reach others who are searching for the same answers. The morning moved from philosophy to reality with crushing speed. The chamber doors opened, and the sounds of Rome, the creak of cartwheels, the distant shouts of vendors, flooded the space. First, the military attache, his face grim. The casualty reports from the Danube were worse than expected. Whole detachments were crippled, not by Gothic swords, but by the relentless fever. Marcus's signature was required on documents authorizing the sale of imperial property, jewelry, silks, even the emperor's own gold plate, to raise funds for new levies and medical supplies. A painful concession, but a necessary one to finance a war effort that was hemorrhaging men and money. Next came the urban prefect, reporting on the plague. The daily death toll was staggering. The people were turning to charlatans and cults, believing the gods had abandoned them. Marcus listened patiently, then issued clear, practical orders: enforce sanitation, organize public funerals, and, crucially, maintain public education, the last bastion against total despair. His role was not just to command armies, but to be the unwavering anchor in a sea of madness. He met with his son Commodus, whose restless energy and lack of discipline were a constant, private heartbreak. The education of a successor was perhaps the heaviest burden of all, the realization that his philosophy might not survive him. He corrected his son's aggressive tone, not with a tyrant's fury, but with a teacher's quiet disappointment, knowing that true power lay in restraint. Midday brought the most complex challenge, a high-profile legal case concerning a disgraced senator accused of hoarding grain during the crisis. The populace demanded a swift, brutal execution. The senator, however, claimed his stores were not hoarded, but reserved for a future, larger shipment to the army. The political pressure was immense. Leniency would be seen as weakness, but a false judgment would violate his core commitment to justice. Marcus dismissed his advisors and read the evidence alone. He saw the temptation. A quick condemnation would secure the love of the mob and solidify his image as a ruthless leader. But the Stoic demanded sincerity. He could not choose the easy path over the right one. He realized the senator, though perhaps not innocent of moral avarice, had not technically broken the specific law regarding army supply. His verdict was meticulous. The senator would not be executed, but his entire grain holding would be seized and distributed to the Roman poor, and he would be permanently banished from the Senate. The payoff was not popular acclaim, but peace of mind. He had chosen principle over popularity, justice over expediency. He had acted not as the emperor, but as the philosopher, judging another man's soul, and his own. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, savoring the tranquility that comes from performing a duty well, regardless of the outcome. The afternoon was reserved for petitions and audiences. This was Marcus's least favorite time. The endless stream of pleas, demands, and grievances. He saw in these faces the full spectrum of human frailty, greed, desperation, hope, and despair. A common soldier, wounded in Dacia, was brought before him. The soldier was petitioning for his family's release from tax debts, a debt accrued while he was serving the empire. The military bureaucracy had denied him, citing precedent. The temptation to follow the cold letter of the law was strong. To break precedent was to invite 1,000 similar petitions, but Marcus remembered his morning meditation. Never esteem anything of advantage to you that will make you break your word, or lose your self-respect. He looked at the soldier, saw his worn uniform and his empty sleeve, and saw not a petition, but a debt of the empire. He tore up the ledger entry personally, then ordered a new edict drafted, granting immediate tax relief for all families of active soldiers. The joy and shock on the soldier's face was the only tangible reward Marcus would receive that day. He understood that kindness is a force multiplier. It breeds loyalty more effectively than fear. This act of grace was a Stoic act, a demonstration of his duty to the human community. As the sun dipped, painting the Roman sky in hues of deep gold and bruised violet, Marcus returned to his inner chamber. The day's business was done. The legions had been supplied. The plague measures were in place, and justice had been rendered. But his work was not over. He ate a simple meal, bread, cheese, and wine cut with water, and returned to his wax tablet. This was the moment of reckoning, where he measured the man he was against, the man he intended to be. He reviewed his internal states. Had he shown irritation when the military attached delivered bad news? Yes, a flicker, quickly suppressed. Had he acted with vanity during the senator's trial? No. He had sought only truth. Had he fulfilled his natural role? Do not be disturbed by the clamor of the external world. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. He knew the cycle would begin again tomorrow. The war, the plague, the politics, the fatigue, but he had successfully navigated the day by clinging to the raft of reason. He had not controlled the events, but he had controlled his response to them. The true battlefield, he concluded, was always, only, in the mind. Marcus Aurelius finally extinguished the lamp, leaving the chamber once again in obsidian darkness. The stakes of the day, the survival of Rome, the justice of a man's life, the education of his son, had all been faced, not with divine strength, but with human, philosophical will. He had chosen duty over desire, justice over popularity, and reason over rage. His day reveals the ultimate truth of Stoicism. You cannot escape the external world, but you can build an inner citadel that is impregnable. His life was not a pursuit of happiness, but a relentless striving for virtue, because he understood that virtue is the only true good, and the only thing that cannot be taken from you. The key to escaping the regret trap and seizing control of your present is the same today as it was in 167 AD. Stop asking why did I do that, and commit fully to asking what must I do now. If the story of the philosopher-emperor, standing firm against chaos, inspires you to build your own inner citadel, be sure to subscribe for more stories of powerful historical figures who mastered their minds Hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into ancient wisdom.